Now, somebody asked me about Contra ETFs. I don't have a story on it, but in the markets, given what we got in the markets condition right now, I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to show you if the market continues to move down right now, Contra ETFs may be a good way to go. So how do you find them? Well, and if you're on the podcast, you're just going to have to listen to my instructions so that when you do get home, you can do this. In the Watchlist viewer, all right, we're in the viewers, go to viewers home. In the Watchlist viewer from viewers home, click on it. You're going to see a yellow folder that says ETFs. Click on it. VectorVest has an awesome way of putting both regular ETFs and real quick, what is an ETF? It's an exchange traded fund. It's sort of like a mutual fund, but an ETF can trade like a stock, whereas a mutual fund's got a whole bunch of load fees and a whole bunch of other things that go along with trying to invest in a mutual fund. An ETF or an exchange traded fund will normally trade an indice or an index or a group of stocks, all right, just like a mutual fund. But again, it trades like a stock. So we've got different levels of ETFs. That's a regular ETF, and then there's an opposite. There's a Contra ETF, and Contra is short for contrarian, which means it moves the opposite. So if there's a bullish ETF for the S&P, there's a bearish ETF or a Contra ETF for the S&P. And the cool thing about ETFs is whether they're bullish or bearish, you buy them long all the time. You never have to short. So for any of you who do not like shorting stocks, ETFs, whether bullish or bearish, might be a great way for you to go, especially if you're not comfortable shorting stocks. So with the market's conditions the way they are right now, I'm going to concentrate on how to utilize Contra ETFs. So the question was, well, how do you know when to put them on? Well, let me tell you a little something about this. What you see right now is a primary wave and a red light in the color guard pricing column. This is a good opportunity to start dipping your toe, not your whole foot, all right? And make sure your foot's clean before you start sticking it in somebody's pool. But you want to make sure that you dip your toe, not your foot, into the water. This is a good opportunity to start looking. Primary wave down, red light in the color guard pricing column. Let's go back to the viewers tab, all right? I'm going to start you off as a brand new person looking at getting into Contra ETFs. I'm going to say that you first start off with non-leverage Contras. These are not leveraged. What does leverage mean? Well, if I stick a pole on top of another log, you stick under another log and use that as a lever, that's leverage, so I can move that big old log. Well, leverage gives me more usability to utilize my money a little bit more on the ETF. It's leverage. So leverage, 2 times leverage, 3 times leverage helps me to grow my money a little faster, but it can help me lose my money a little bit faster as well. What I'm looking at right now is non-leveraged ETFs. We have on the treasuries, we have on communications, we have on gold. And how do I know those names? Is because I'm just looking at the names. If you ever want to know what they actually are, if you right click on it, this is a short on the Dow, but if I right click on it, you can always go to a full stock analysis report, and from the full stock analysis report, read the business description. ProShares Short Dow 30 is an exchange traded fund launched and managed by ProShares, invests in the public equity markets of the United States. But it is a short on the Dow, and again, you buy it long, all right? So let's take a look at these. If I were looking at any of these to get into today, I would always short by percent price change. Which ones look good today? Woo! DDG. Well, that's on the Dow, baby. Actually, that's on oil. Oil not good. How about we get a Contra ETF on oil? That way, if I don't want to play an individual oil stock to the downside, why not play the index? This is on small cap. ProShares on small cap. What's the small cap? The IWM, right? The Russell 2000. Well, when the market first starts going down, those low dollar stocks are going to get smoked like smoked. All right, man, I'm going to say some bad things, and that would be bad. I ain't trying to get hood up in here. All right, so the financials, the Russell, the mid cap, the Dow. Now, the cool thing is you can see what's moving. But if I'm looking at a group of stocks from a watch list, I'm going to give you a tidbit of information. If you're looking at a group of stocks from a watch list, I want you to scroll over in that watch list and sort the watch list by average volume. You want to make sure that not only are you in Contra ETFs, but you want to be in the ones that have liquidity. And right now, if I look at this is on the S&P 500, on the NASDAQ, on the Russell, on the Dow, and how about each one of these are moving up today? So on a day like today, question came up is when do you start playing Contra ETFs? When you get that primary wave down and red light in the color guard pricing column, that's a good way to go. Now, if you're a little bit more aggressive, all right, let's scroll up the list to the 2-time leverage Contras. Click on it. And what do? The first thing, because you're looking at a watch list of stocks, move over to average volume. Make sure you have liquidity by sorting by average volume. Now what's come up to the top of the list? Still on the S&P 500. How about on gold? The gold miners, and how about them making a killing today? But keep in mind, these are 2-time leverage. So you're going to make more money as these indices run down. You really want to make some dough, bro? Woo! Let's go to the 3-time leverage Contra. Whoo! How about you gonna make some money? You want to see what's going to happen? Ooh-wee. That's right. Let's move over to average volume. Always remember when you look at a watch list of stocks, you want to make sure that you're in liquid ETFs. Now it's rocking. How about the Qs again? Large cap, S&P 500, small cap, Dow, semiconductor, biotech. All of these are in double-digit wins today. And I can go down the list, mow and mow and mow, and make some more dough and dough and dough, and be happy, go ooh-wee, and watch my portfolio take off like an airplane coming out of JFK, baby. This is the way to make money on a downtrending market like today, Contra ETFs. But the more aggressive you become, understand the more money you can lose, which is why I started off with non-leveraged Contras first. So I thought that that was appropriate to talk about today with the market's conditions they were today. And man, whoever asked me that question, did they answer in the room that they liked that or did not like that, or does it matter? Joey says it doesn't matter. All right. So Joey, you just said that the customer in the room doesn't matter. I'm just putting that on you. That's what you said. All right, everybody. VV Nation, this is what we say to Joey right now. Okay, that's what we say to Joey right now. All right. But somebody did ask about that, and hopefully I addressed that. And, you know, for a lot of people out there who are thinking about it, a good way to start thinking about playing the market to the downside would be the non-leverage Contras. But always remember, because you're looking at a watch list of stocks, the first thing you ever want to do is to make sure you have liquidity. Always sort the list by average volume before you start to look at the stocks to get into. Hey, Clayton, you want to add anything to that?
No, I mean, you talked about whether or not you should be getting into regular or Contra ETFs, leveraged ETFs, and so on and so forth. And, you know, it's just you can see the correlation between these gains here, 18, 16, 13% gains when the market's, I don't know what the market's at right now, down 3, 4, 5%.
Yeah.
And that's the power of the 3 times leverage. And, guys, it goes the other way, too. Glenn mentioned it a few times. Obviously, these stocks tomorrow, if the market goes up 5%, these stocks could be back down 15% tomorrow. So they move. If it's a 2 times leverage ETF, it's a 3 times leverage ETF, they move in concordance with whatever the underlying asset is that they track.
Oh, question comes up. What about Contra ETFs? Yeah, there's one main Contra ETF that I look at. It's called the VIX. A Contra ETF means that the market doesn't move it. So the market can have high volatility on an up day or on a down day. market doesn't move. So a contra doesn't, you say, what are they? What is a contra? What is a contra? It means that it doesn't, I hate explaining this because these are ETFs that the market doesn't move. Looking at, the dollar. The dollar could go up or down whether the market is up or down. How about a contra is in its own world? It's in its own world. When gas goes up, it goes up. And the contra of gas means that it doesn't move with the market. All right? And does everybody in the room understand that? Let me put that out there. Contras, and look at what's here. Look at what's here. Contras are stocks or ETFs that the market doesn't move. A lot of gold, a lot of oil, and anybody who says no, I can't explain it any better than that, which is why it's tough, which is tough for me to explain. A contra doesn't move with the market. That's why it's a contra. I hate that we gave it that name. I so hate that we gave it that name, but it makes sense that, a contra moves opposite of the market. A contra, the market really doesn't move it. All right, so what is the benefit of contra ETFs? Well, if I wanted to play gold, or if I wanted to play oil, those kinds of things, I can play them whether the market is moving up or it's telling me that it's moving. Well, it's telling me that it's moving whether the market is moving up or moving down. So I'm going to leave it there. And I apologize for not being able to explain it better. But a contra doesn't move with the market. Clay, you want to add anything to that?
Oh, I mean, I look a lot at the dollar, and I look, stories about the dollar, and it doesn't matter if the stock market's going up, if the stock market's going down. A lot of things affect the dollar, but it's mainly not a stock. It's mainly not moved by the stock market. So that just goes right along with what you were saying. If you're investing in the dollar, it doesn't necessarily matter if the stock market's being driven higher by Amazon today. The dollar, is its own beast. It's got its own.
It's in its own world.
Exactly. It's got its own drivers, and it's not affected by the movement solely by the movement of the market.
Somebody says, "What about conga lines?" Oh Lord, oh boy, I'm not listening to you. All right. Can you explain how long a play theoretically will be? A play on any stock, although it's going to always play, is always going to tie into your stops. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Now, if you're new to the software or would like refresher information about the software, click on this Getting Started video right here. Thanks to all of your input, here's a YouTube video that we think would be perfect for you. Click right here. If nothing else, folks, just hit the subscribe button right here.